Hearing of his father's murder, Lotfali Khan marched to the Zand, capital of Shiraz. Sayyid Murad Khan was forced to surrender and was executed. Soon after assuming his title, Lotfali Khan's principal rival, Agha Mohamad Khan of the Quajar dynasty, marched south to Shiraz. Their two armies met outside of the city in a battle in which Agha Mohamad Khan prevailed, using camels to scare the Zand horses on the battlefield. Despite his defeat, the Zand leader was able to hold Shiraz until the Qajar forces withdrew to Tehran. The following year, 1790, Lotfali Khan led his forces against the governor of Kerman, who had refused to appear in person to acknowledge the Zand leader. This campaign failed due to harsh winter conditions, which led to the loss of a large number of men. In 1791, Lotfali Khan marched to re-establish his control over Isfahan. He had grown increasingly suspicious of the loyalties of Haj Ibrahim, the Kalantar of Shiraz, the sheriff of Shiraz. As a result, he took the Kalantar's son with him. Once the Zand army had left the city, Haji Ibrahim had the remaining Zand officers arrested and sent word to his brother, a member of Lotfali's army, that the city was now under his control. A mutiny ensued, and Lotfali and several hundred loyal soldiers fled back to Shiraz, where they found the gates barred against them. Fearing reprisals against their families locked within the gates, most of Lotfali's men deserted him. With only a handful of followers remaining, the Zand ruler then fled to Bushehr. Here too, he encountered a hostile local leader. With the help of a sympathetic governor in the port city of Bandarig, Lotfali Khan managed to raise a small army made of sympathetic locals. With their help, Lotfali defeated and attacked from Bushehr and Kazarun. The governor of Kazarun was captured and blinded, an impulsive act by Lotfali Khan that weakened the sympathy which his youth, his courage, and his misfortunes were so calculated to incite. Emboldened, Lotfali Khan returned to Shiraz, which Haj Ibrahim had offered to Agha Mohamad Khan. There he defeated an army led by Mustafa Quli Khan Quajar. Lotfali Khan's smaller force then succeeded in repelling the attack of a second Qajar force. At this point, Agha Mohamad Khan himself led the 30 to 40,000 men against a much smaller Zand army. In a pivotal battle near Persepolis, whose outcome would determine the leadership of the nation, Lotfali Khan gained the upper hand over the much larger Qajar army, launching a nighttime raid on the main camp of the Agha Mohamad Khan. As the Quajar soldiers scattered, Lotfali assumed Agha Mohamad Khan had fled with them and that the camp was secured. He forbade his men from plundering the camp and withdrew to wait for sunrise. But Agha Mohamad Khan had remained hidden in the royal pavilion. At dawn, the call to prayer signaled that the Quajar army had regrouped. Lotfali Khan had no choice but to retreat. An alternative version of this story suggests that Lotfali Khan was tricked into waiting until daybreak to enter the enemy camp on advice of a Qajar spy named Mirza Fatali Ardelani. He and his followers first fled to Kerman in 1792, but with the Qajar in pursuit, they were forced to Tabas. With the aid of a sympathetic governor in Tabas, Lotfali attempted without success to retake Shiraz. At the time, the former Zand capital was firmly under the control of Agha Mohamad Khan. In July 1792, the Qajar Shah ordered the family and harem of Lotfali Khan and other Zand nobles and their families sent to his new capital, Tehran. Repelled in his effort to reclaim Shiraz, Lotfali Khan decided to travel east to Kandahar in modern-day Afghanistan to solicit the aid of Taimur Shah. But after a few days, he learned of Taimur Shah's death. Feeling indecisive and depressed, Lotfali Khan turned back. His spirits were restored by pledges of support from tribal leaders from Bam and Namashir. Bolstered by an additional 1,000 horsemen, Lotfali Khan took Kerman in 1794. He held the city for 4 months against Agha Mohamad Khan and a large army. During this time, gold coins were struck in Kerman in tribute to the Zand leader. One of those coins found its way to Agha Mohamad Khan, who was so enraged that he sent orders that Fatullah Khan, the son of Lotfali Khan, who had been taken to Tehran with other Zand nobilities, was to be castrated. As the siege of Kerman wore on, some troops became disaffected and ultimately opened the citadel gates to the Qajar army. After a 3-hour battle, Lotfali fled by night to Bam. Agha Mohamad Khan exacted a brutal revenge on the people of Kerman for harboring his enemy. All the male inhabitants were killed or blinded, and a pile was made of 20,000 detached eyeballs and poured in front of the victorious Qajar leader. The women and children were sold into slavery, and the city was destroyed over 90 days.